Yo, what's good? Recently I've been getting more into the chill drill type of sound with big artists like Sam Rex, Knucks Sainte killing this type of sound. So I'm going to show you how to make beats like these. Let's start with So with these types of melodies, you want to have quite a drilly tempo. So I've used about 142, but you can go to 115, do a slow paced one. And as you can see with the melody, it's quite simple. There's not much going on. There's only, 3 layers. So you don't need to overcomplicate things too much. So starting with the piano pattern, you want it to kind of be a jazzy feel. You want it quite calm, soulful. So for this, I've just got these simple chords. So as you can hear, it sounds quite soulful, it has a lot of human feel to it. Don't worry, it isn't as complicated as you think it is. So starting with the bass notes, it goes from the 7, the 6, to the 5, 4, back to the 5, and has a little bit of a riff here at the end. Now as you can see, it's not much, it doesn't move around too much until it gets to the end. Now when I bring the chord back in, you'll see it's not actually too bad. It's got just the A here, which is just the 1, and I've just took this A, which is this octave, and moved it to the right. Then for this chord, all I've done is I've got 2 notes which are a semitone apart. This adds a little bit of dissonance to it, and I've just made a little simple chord here with it. Then over here I've stayed with a minor chord, and I've put the A in the bass just like on the first bit, and I've added a little filler note here, and it just goes down, and that's practically repeating throughout. So to get that drill kind of feel, all I've done is I've put this into Fruity Slicer, and I've just pitched it up a little bit, about 300 cents, and I've moved the attack up just so it has a little bit of fade in on each one. Now for the pattern for this, I've left quite simple, just as the basic note, but I've kind of stuttered the end note just to make it a little bit better. And then up here I've added a one where it's just a 1 chord, just to have that little bit of balance. Then what I've done is I've brought in a saxophone VST, and I've laid down a simple little pattern here. Then I've moved up the end note to a 5th, just so it has a little bit of lead into the next chord. Then it moves up to here, which is the chord from last time, which is just that, but it's pitched up. Then it has this semitone apart, which just adds that dissonance. Then up here we've got the same kind of chords which was on the piano. Then I've just added this little filler part just for the bounce at the end. As you can see with these melodies, we're leaving quite a lot of space, and that's because that's mostly where the drums are going to take it up, but also you don't want to be overcomplicated because you still want someone to rap on it. Then recently I've been enjoying soul vocals, just adding them in, gives it a little bit more texture. So all I've done is I've grabbed the chords from before, I've simply brought them down an octave, and I've just placed them here. Then the only thing missing from this is some really bouncy drums. So the first thing I have is a simple counter snare. This is just doing the simple drum pattern, but I've removed everything here which is on the 3 and the 4. Then instead of getting a snare, I've got another counter snare as the actual snare. This is just because it's a little bit lighter. Then all I've done from here is added a little counter snare here, then another one here which fills in a little bit of the gaps, just to give you that basic bounce. Then to add some texture in the background, I've grabbed a simple 2-step pattern, and I've just made it high velocity, low velocity, copied that over, and it just adds a little bit of texture in the background. Then for my favourite part, which is the 808, you want it pretty simple, pretty kind of spaced out. For this I've used an actual trap 808 rather than a drill 808, because I feel like this punches through the mix a whole lot better. For this I've just followed the bass note, and then I've done a cool little trick over here. So as you can see this here, it adds so much bounce into it, and all this is I've got a normal note here, put it down at 0 velocity, I've got a slide note with full velocity, and I've just laid that up, that's so it kind of fades in. Then all I've done is I've grabbed a kick, put it on C, and I've laid all the bass notes except from the slide one. Then for the last thing, of course, you've got to have a gunshot at the start. Pretty simple, there's not much to that. Then for the structure, I've left it pretty simple. We just have a 8-bar intro, 8-bar kind of bridge leading into the hook. We have the 16 bars hook, then we move over to here. We have 16 bars here, which is kind of verse, and then we go back into a bridge, but it has a little bit more drums just to pick up. And to change from the hook to the verse, all I've done is I've cut out the snare at the end, but the snare aspect cuts out just so it comes in a little bit better. And this is what it sounds like. Appreciate you watching. Peace out.
Faded, this shit wavy.
By the way, if you want the beats down in the description, quick sellout done. Peace out.